I was hoping to kind of trigger us to think of a possible answer. If we could just get one half of it and maybe the rest of it would flow in, right? And so I was like, okay, so circumnavigate means around, and semi means half, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, I think that's all actually Latin stuff, not Greek stuff. So that doesn't help at all. It's probably even like hurting us.
Well, I'm trying to, because I don't know, the difference between Latin and Greek is something that I don't, it's one of those, someone's like, oh, this is a Greek word. And I'm like, awesome.
What about phobias? So, like I mentioned, Acropolis, I think, is the high city or something like that. And acrophobia, I think, is something like fear of heights, right? So acro could mean high, and I think that's Greek. So maybe phobias have Greek roots. So is there a phobia of being in a place, or like claustrophobia means fear of closed spaces. It's not necessarily place, but can you think of any phobias that might be equals or places?
No. I mean, I think it's going to be, I think this is going to be the word that the Greeks used for what the Romans would call the forum. So like an assembly or like a court or something like that.
Could this be Parthenon? Par could be equal. In fact, in golf, par means you had the equal score. Mm-hmm. And you said meeting, like a meeting place. The Parthenon was a place where they would meet. I like that.
Yeah, that sounds better than anything else we've come up with. So
let's go that. Too. We're going to lock in with Parthenon.
You have to put it in the form of a question.
What is the Parthenon?
Okay.
Thank you, Carmela.
You're welcome. All right. So, like I mentioned, I haven't watched this yet because I haven't worked up the courage. I do have a little Alex Trebek that Jonathan gave to me. But Chris and I were talking. Equinox came up, but I believe equi is the Latin prefix. I'm pretty sure iso is the Greek for equal. So I threw out some words that contained iso, so like isometric, isotrope, or isotope, isosceles for the triangle. And I remember topography is a thing that has to do with places. But we locked in with what is isotope.
All right. Carmela was on the right track there. The correct answer is, what is isotope?
Nice.
Wow.
Great job, Carmela.
Wow. So while y'all were talking and you were talking about phobias, you're like, is there a phobia of being in certain places? And so I looked up phobia of being in places, and that is called topophobia.
Yeah, wow. We probably should have remembered the category was science. So,
isolation.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah.
I also didn't think about that. I was just like, of these three words that contain iso that I can remember, that's the one I like the best.
That was really, really well done. Really well done. I'm definitely curious what Parthenon means now. Did anybody look it up?
I bet it probably just means that thing.
House of Parthenos.
Parthenos. Yep.
Yeah, so it does mean that thing.
The place where that person is.
According to this theory, the name of Parthenon means Temple of the Virgin Goddess. It refers to the cult of Athena Parthenos.
Yep.
Well, there we go.
Right. There we go. Your second question in this round is words.
Word.
Oh, boy.
The word ghetto has its roots in 16th century Italy, describing the segregated part of the city where what minority group was forced to live?
We're locked in.
You were fast at texting.
Man, I'm telling you what.
Thumbs.
She's a millennial.
Freaking Carmela.
It's like a genetic skill.
I'm all thumbs, and I still can't text fast.
I gave you the opportunity of everyone against me.
Oh, yeah. I think you're right, Dieter.
Yeah. I would like to say, I think I sent that to you before Carmela texted it.
Oh, wow.
You just didn't check your phone. So
I'm bad at that.
But yeah, I believe this is people of the Jewish faith. So,
or nationality, either one.
Yeah.
Heritage.
So
we'll lock in with that. Chris, why are you laughing?
I was not expecting it's something Chris and I are talking about. I was not expecting that reaction. Anyway, so this is also something I learned through Shakespeare, The Merchant of Venice. This is where the Jewish community lived. And unfortunately, it was revisited in World War II, or the lead up to World War II. So that is where that word comes from. It's from Jewish communities being segregated.
That's how I know it is from the World War II angle. I didn't know about it from the Shakespeare angle.
Correct answer is the Jewish community, or Jews. Good job.
Great job, Dieter. So what is it? What's the joke?
So he's like, what just happened between you and Jonathan? And I explained to him why. And he's like, oh. And it's the way I said it.
I got you. Okay.
It was very flavorful.
Indeed it was.
Oh,
all right.
Gosh, turn up.
Your last question before the midpoint comes to us from Rob Warman.
Thanks, Rob!
Warman.
Prolific trivia writer.
Your category is, I was told there would be no math.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
Crap, it's a Rob Warman question and it's math. You want to forfeit?
Why do you hate
and
No,
you're on your
wait. Dieter's
side.
good at math. Hell yeah.
All right. Okay. Ranging from 0 to 12, the Beaufort scale is a somewhat subjective measurement of what? This was referenced in the Billy Joel song Stormfront.
All right, Dieter. I think I do want to lock that in. I mean, it could be wrong. I'm not like planting a flag in it or anything, but it feels pretty good.
Yeah, I don't have anything else. As I said, the somewhat subjective is really throwing me off here.
I feel like this fits that though.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna lock in.
Our conversation thus far is me trying to remember what the cover of Stormfront looks like, and I remember it's like kind of a grayish cover, and I think it's two flags being blown super hard by wind.
It is.
So this is probably wind related. As I was explaining in the thing, I don't think it's saying that this is like a wind speed of 12. I think it's categorizing it like 1 on the Beaufort scale is this speed to this speed, and then 2 on the Beaufort scale is this speed to this speed. So I think it's like kind of like hurricane categories.
Okay. And I was saying that maybe it's pressure and
maybe wind speed is really weird because even standing like 10 feet apart, we'll feel it differently, you know.
That's true. 100%.
So I think that's why it's kind of subjective, just because the way wind is.
Okay.
As far as how we experience wind. I mean, obviously there's things that can be measured for wind, but the way we experience it is kind of weird.
And since I don't know anything about it, I'm happy to go with it. My only concern is that I've never heard any. I mean, with us being in Florida, I've never really heard anything about that. You know, of course, we've heard hurricane categories. You mentioned that in our chat.
It might be that we don't use it. Might be people who are more.
That's true. European.
Not necessarily European, but like maybe you and I just don't work in a field where we would use it. You know, we don't work with boats or, you know, on we live on a shoreline, but we don't work. Our work doesn't interact with a shoreline.
That is true. I trust your answer more so than I trust my own on this.
Don't make me the math person here. That's not going to end well for any of us.
Well, that's because we do it on Excel spreadsheets.
She's an artist, Chris.
That's true. And she is. If you have not seen Carmela's artwork, you need to. It is amazeballs.
Oh, well, thank you.
So, but I think it's either speed or pressure, and who knows which one it's going to be.
Well, let's go wind speed and see what happens.
Okay, that works. Right. We're locked in.
Yep.
All right.
So Dieter and I didn't totally agree. He thinks my answer might be quantifiable. I felt like speeds of any sort are definitely quantifiable. No matter what scale you're using for tornadoes or for hurricanes or whatever, if you're setting a scale, then from here to here is a rate. And if the wind reaches that peak, then it hits that rate. So I felt like it couldn't be something like that. It would need to be something where you're estimating. And that took me to damage. So I'm hoping that it might be a scale that measures the amount of damage done by a storm.
That makes sense.
That was our answer.
That makes way more sense than what I said.
I don't know. We'll find out.
All right. So the Beaufort scale is an empirical measure that relates wind speed to observed conditions at sea or on land. Its full name is the Beaufort Wind Force Scale. So the two answers that I would accept here is either wind force or storm intensity.
Would wind pressure have worked?
So did either of us get it?
No. So I would accept wind speed as a correct answer because the scale does use knots to delineate what type of a storm it is. So 0 is like perfect calm, 12 is a hurricane, and it breaks out the scale in knots. So 5 to 10
it's
knots
not
is
just speed; it's speed and the effect on the water. Is that how it works? Like that's why it's subjective, because it's not just speed; it has to do with what it looks like too.
There is a modern scale that measures, and I think this is why it's somewhat subjective, is because there is a modern scale that has delineated speeds. So like a Beaufort of 0 is less than 1 knot. A Beaufort of 1 is 1 to 3 knots. 2 is 4 to 6 knots, etc. That is the modern version of the Beaufort scale. But there is also the original Beaufort scale had letters that would delineate the type of weather that was being experienced in that particular location. So we have letters that would delineate out. Like B would be blue sky, O is overcast, Q is squalls, T is thunder, V is visibility. That was the semi-subjective part, is that the Beaufort scale previously had letters that would associate what type of weather you were experiencing.
Huh.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I would accept either wind force, which wind is the force is judged by wind speed in the modern scale. The traditional scale is by storm intensity or weather pattern. So I would have accepted either of those as a correct answer.
I'm sorry.
I was looking, my research was I wanted to determine whether damage was a factor in the rating of the scale, and it does not mention damage anywhere as part of the definition.
There is a scale for damage, but apparently that's not it.
I was
Yeah,
going to
this is
say,
not
I'm
it.
willing to bet there is a scale for damage.
Oh, there
like,
is.
Like
Yeah,
a named
yeah.
scale.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Isn't that
Yep.
the Waffle House Index?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah,
That's
that's
a
a
real
real
thing.
That's
That is
It's
something.
like an unofficial FEMA thing that they use,
Yeah.
like how damaged an area is based on how many Waffle Houses are open.
So did you guys say wind speed? Was that your answer?
Yeah.
Did.
All right, so you
So
got
I
credit.
will accept that as a correct answer, yes.
And that actually keeps your perfect game going. You have 92 points at the end of the third round. Dieter and I have 70 points at the end of the third round.
Wow.
No
Great
pressure.
job, Carmela. That was
No wind pressure.
Yeah, I think y'all are, if my goal for average score before Gauntlet is a tower, y'all are buzzing it right now. Your midpoint category comes to us from Rob Warman.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Rob.
Rob.
Oh, another one by Rob Warman.
Category is literature.
Literature.
For 5 points each, name any 4 of the 6 full-length novels written by Jane Austen. So there are 6 correct answers. I'm looking for 4 of them.
Perfect. I'm good with all those.
All right, we're locked in.
All right.
All right. The last one I gave you is the one I have the least confidence in, but I think it's right. The list that I sent Dieter was Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility, Northanger Abbey, and I think she did Emma.
I know those first 3 are correct.
Yeah. I think
fourth
Emma's
one-
right. There's 2 more that we could pick from. Let me take just a second. And if there's one that clearly stands out as being right, then I'm pretty sure Jane Austen did Emma, though. I think that's the name of it. That's the best I got right now. I want to go with those.
Yeah, that sounds good. I
All
don't
right.
have anything.
So Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility, Northanger Abbey, and Emma.
So I did have Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility. The basis for the movie Clueless is the book Emma, which was written by Jane Austen. So we said Emma. And I think her last novel was Persuasion, which is what I wrote down. That was my 4th one.
So here are your correct answers. Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility, Mansfield Park, Northanger Abbey, Emma, and Persuasion.
Nice.
All right.
Full
Both
points
teams
all
get
around.
full credit.
Carmela
Yeah, just-
painted the corner. I love it.
Y'all just buzzing that tower, boy, I tell you.
Save the clock tower. So the storm index that shows destruction is called the Hurricane Severity Index.
How
What if
mundane.
it's not based on a hurricane? Oh,
Yeah,
there's
there's other-
different scales. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at the end of the midpoint, scores are 112 to 90.
Your 4th round comes to us from Matthew Burris.
Thank you,
Thank
Matthew.
you, Matt.
Thank you, Matthew.
First question in the Matthew Burris round. Your category is no, they didn't wash it first.
Gross.
What famous prop from Die Hard is currently on display at the Smithsonian?